Cool. Okay. So Sam, you can leave your microphone on if you want, because this will be interactive, so you have a chance to speak as well. But let's get into it. So today, we're doing new kind of session called group coaching session, looking at defining your target market. Now, this is probably the first group coaching session that I've done through this platform. I've done group coaching before, but this is the first one I've done in terms of the startup founder mindset platform that I run. I tend to do a lot of in-person events in Perth through this platform, whether it's networking or like workshops. There are some events coming up that I'll talk about too. But for today, this is a new kind of event. So I hope you get some value out of it. All right, let's move on. So just a little bit about me. I'm Matt, as you probably know already, originally from Sydney, spent about 30 plus years there. Was living in Tokyo for about 8. And then now I'm in Perth since December. Startup Founder Mindset was originally a meetup group that I just started thinking about doing some workshops and networking events, but it's starting to grow. I'm starting to do more online, let's say, workshops as well, and coffee meetups too, and hoping to go to kind of grow this beyond Australia, if possible. So that's kind of my aspirations for it. I always talk about the importance of a growth mindset. I think this is really kind of key or foundation to any startup founder who wants to start a business. It's just the way you think in terms of seeing challenges or setbacks as a way to learn, as a way to develop yourself, kind of being open-minded to feedback, to new ideas, to collaboration, to working with people, being flexible, being adaptable. You know, if you have a startup, things can change very quickly. And if this focus on continuous improvement. So getting feedback from your users as you kind of improve your MVP or your product. You know, it's also important to focus on yourself. How can I improve myself? How can I become better? And that plus this idea of having a support community, I feel like Startup Founder Mindset is the community you can join to find like-minded people. So other entrepreneurs, be it aspiring, you know, maybe they're still working full-time, want to build a business, people potentially like you who are in the building stage, maybe existing founders who are still growing, scaling. So we're trying to build a community around that, especially because people can sometimes feel quite lonely in that journey and always looking for support, guidance, and some people to share ideas and insights, pain points, that kind of thing. So I guess the first question I have, maybe just for you so far, Sam, is what brings you to this kind of event? What makes you interested?
Yeah, the first thing, I don't know how to do marketing. I have the idea, and I know that some people, especially international students, have problems for their when they want to apply to English-speaking countries, because I am from non-English-speaking country. Yep. So that's why I think they need the research proposal, and not only me, but some people, some of my friends have the same problem. So finally, we found someone to guide us, and then we have to pay them like 2,000 AUD. So yeah, it's expensive. So that's why I try to help people by using our website to design the research proposal using artificial intelligence. And in the future, we are going to have like human or people intervention when they are doing the research proposal, yeah, for master or PhD, basically.
So helping
Right.
students in that PhD or research phase,
Yeah.
is it? Yep.
Right. But I don't know how to sell. I don't know how to get money from them. Yeah, that's my big problem
Sure.
actually.
Sure.
Yeah.
So today maybe is thinking about the beginning of the marketing piece. So, who are your target customers? And essentially, it's kind of thinking about, first of all, your problem that you're solving, and how you're solving it through the offer, through the service, through the product that you have. And then you have a problem statement which kind of defines that. And then number two, including your target market and the pain points that you're addressing within that problem statement. Okay. So what I mean by that, if we just talk about a problem statement as a draft or as an initial kind of way to talk about your service, let's say, I've just got some really basic examples, Netflix and Airbnb. Okay. So Netflix, the problem statement, going to rent a movie, back when we were renting movies, it's inconvenient and people used to pay a lot of late fees, especially because it was inconvenient to return it. Sometimes they miss the deadline, so they have to incur late fees. So Netflix, the solution was to let you stream movies from your home. You don't have to worry about picking up the movie, returning the movie. You can just watch it from your couch, basically convenient. Airbnb, similar kind of thing. Basically, when you're trying to find hotels, it can be expensive, time consuming to book. Airbnb was trying to provide like some unique, affordable housing. Something that's pretty easy to book. So these are some example problem statements. So, Jared, can you hear me? Yep.
Yeah,
great.
good.
Cool. So let's just try, like, if you think about your problem statement without target audience, how can you describe, the problem you solve? So what is the problem? What is the solution? And potentially what's the benefit? So Jared, do you want to quickly introduce yourself for Sam's benefit?
Sure. Yeah, Sam. Good to meet you, Sam. I was listening before, but I wasn't able to speak yet. But
That's okay.
In Japan for 16 years, from England and Australia before then, but relocating to Australia in the next less than 2 weeks to continue the business I do. And we do a business manufacturing RV camper vans in Japan, and we're now we're starting to export them to Australia. So a bit manufacturing startup, I guess. So yeah, that's basically it.
Right. So if you had a really basic problem statement, how would you describe Dream Drive?
Sure. Well, we basically just want to make better camper vans, and like we feel there's not enough camper vans in the market which are high enough quality, with that off-road durability that we can produce, like from the made in Japan products have. So yeah, we just want to bring that to the world, basically.
Awesome. So Sam, so listening to Jared, looking at some of the example statements, how would you think about your business? What's the problem you're solving? What's the solution you provide?
Okay. The problem is many international students are fail to convince their supervisor in research, so they cannot go to the university. And then the solution is helping by provide consultation by using artificial intelligence and human.
And what's the benefit?
They can easily convince their supervisor, the prospective supervisor, so they can study abroad. Yeah.
So it's supposed to get them over the line in terms of being able to apply for a PhD program.
PhD, yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Cool. So the objective for today really is to get you to the point where you're talking about your problem and solution, but also thinking about the target market that you want to target. So maybe Jared, for you, this is thinking about Australia as you enter the market. No doubt you've already thought about that, but trying to think about maybe specifically if this helps you in any way, like, is there one particular niche that I can focus on first just to start building early traction? Sam, maybe for you, this is thinking about, what is your initial target audience specifically? Okay. So let's go through. So today, I just want to cover a little bit. I thought we'd have more participants because I had like 20 RSVP, but anyway, that's okay. I wanted to take you through some of the basics of coaching because I thought we might break out into breakout rooms and just give you some opportunity to kind of coach each other. But that's okay. We can cover the basics today. We'll talk a little bit about the importance of defining a niche. We'll go through kind of customer profile exercise, think about where you can find your audience, the best way to interact with them, and then come back to that problem statement again and try to build that out with your target, what target market that you've brainstormed today. Try to incorporate that into your problem statement at the end. Any questions so far? No, pretty clear. Cool. So I always stress the importance of a growth mindset. That's kind of the name of my business, Startup Founder Mindset, or the meetup that I run. So I always try to stress that having a growth mindset is really crucial in just starting a business, because if you're coming out of work, especially, or if you're coming out of study, the mindset that you have during that time versus the mindset that you need when you become an entrepreneur, very, very different. The way you think, the way you need to act, it's just a very, very different journey. So growth mindset, I feel like, is always really the basic or kind of starting point for people to think about adopting when they take on a business, when they try to start a startup. It's really crucial. So in coaching world, the kind of three things that we cover, it's building a growth mindset, as I spoke about. We think about coaching the person, not the problem. It's very, very high level. So we're not trying to help you solve the problem that you're facing. We're trying to help you work towards a larger vision that you have. So if we just focus on the problem, essentially we're only band-aid fixing something. We're trying to help you work towards sort of more major change or major goals or major improvements that you're working on. And another feature is kind of this active and empathetic listening. We try to do that by just following how the client goes. So essentially they're telling us things and we're following them, being curious, using open questions, and just getting them to a point of self-awareness, and hopefully to a point where they can make, let's say, incremental changes to improve their own performance. So today, if we think about the lean startup framework, we're really at step one, identifying the vision, the problem statement, and thinking about who potentially is our target market initially. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about who your target market is first. And an example that I've used before is Afterpay. So Sam, are you familiar with Afterpay at all? No. Jared, Afterpay potentially? No. Okay, so it's a buy now, pay later app. It started in Australia. It's expanded across the globe these days, pretty big. Essentially what it is, it helps you buy things today with kind of 25% payment now, and then you pay it over 8 weeks. So every 2 weeks, you'll pay 25%, 25%, 25%. And when they launched this business, they were targeting basically people who were looking to shop, wanting to buy things, potentially discretionary goods, things, not things that they needed, but rather things that they wanted. but they also had this kind of fear of, not wanting to get into too much debt, and they have a little bit of difficulty budgeting. So essentially, Afterpay saw a young female professional, someone who was earning money so they could still pay back a debt, or if they were trying to buy things over time, they were receiving a regular income to pay for that. But someone who probably was looking for a way to buy, things that potentially were out of reach. So if we think about all the options Afterpay could have used, there are a whole bunch of different potential targets they could have niched into: young professionals, dual income couples, mums and dads, even middle-aged senior managers, things like that. But essentially what worked for them was the idea of having young professionals. And they go through some of the pain points, not having enough money to buy the things they want, but also not wanting to go into too much debt. The goals, they wanted to improve financial literacy, control their spending, and buy more things that they wanted. So let's go back to you guys. If you think about your potential target initially, let's see, Sam, who do you think would be some examples of people that you need to target with your solution?
All right. So I think the first is a student that who are willing to study in English-speaking country. So an international student from non-English-speaking country that want to study in English-speaking country, and the student who are in non-English-speaking countries that would like to publish in journal of their research. Yeah. So that could be student, academician, and researcher. Yeah.
Okay. And what are some of their pain points specifically?
Yeah, because as I said previously, when I want to have like a research proposal mentoring in Indonesia, we need to pay until 20,000. Yeah, but I think this is lower, so anybody can afford for this. Yeah.
So people don't have the upfront, let's say, affordability to be able to pay for PhD programs. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. This provides more affordable solution.
Yeah, I think. Okay. Yeah.
Any other pain points?
Yeah, because they are still students, so they don't have many income, so the money is from their family. So yeah, it's quite is cheaper. That's cheap for them. Like they are still even like maybe some of them are working, but they still need to divide their money for study and to work or for daily life. So yeah, that's our target market, like the middle income people. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Jared? When you think about coming to Australia, let's say expanding into Australian market, who are your potential target?
I think, well, for me, it's in Japan we did B2C, but in Australia we're thinking a bit more B2B, maybe at first. So we're selling to dealers or to rental companies, and then they would have their own, they would do the B2C from there. So yeah, we're basically looking for companies who have got good customer service, nice showrooms, some kind of maybe workshop or something to work on vehicles. So and like then we basically just try to target certain locations, give them some territory, go from there basically. But on the B2C side, who they sell to, if we're going B to B2C, I'd say 40 to 60-year-old retirees or nearing retiree, who want to spend a bit more time traveling around Australia. and want something not too big. They want to have the freedom to just get up and go and not have to reserve campsites like you would with a caravan. So yeah.
So the pain points that they're going through specifically, if you think about,
right,
I guess it's I don't know if you want to talk about the C market, say the clients, end user.
Yeah, I think that's easiest to talk about that. The pain points, I think, which our product fixes is it's 4x4, so it allows them greater freedom of where they can go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's portable. So yeah, a lot of the problem I've identified from talking to customers is the Land Cruiser and caravan combo is pretty big. And it's hard you have to book ahead if you're going to try and go to a campsite. Campsites are getting busy, like the good ones. So it kind of limits where they can go. But if you have a motorhome or small camper van, you just can go. You can just go with the flow and head to the town you want to go to, and then off road doubles that down too. So I think it's the flexibility is the main thing our product solves in that market.
Yeah,
and also a nicer design, a bit more homely. Yeah,
like a more
a nice place to spend time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you think about goals, then let's say, Jared, what do you think some of the goals for your users would be specifically?
Spend more time traveling. Yeah, more time, more freedom, better memories, spending more time on the road. So yeah, I'd say that's the main goals, lifestyle kind of choice. Yeah, and then aside from just lifestyle decision, I think just access to harder to reach spots. Spending wise, I don't think there's much to say there. I guess they would want some kind of like service network, so they feel comfortable traveling around everywhere. Which is something we got to figure out. But
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Australia being so big.
Yes, for sure.
Yep. Okay. Sam, what about your users? What do you think some of their goals are?
Yeah, I think they want to have effective and efficient proposal research, so they don't have to pay much for mentoring and be accepted for master by research or PhD in without having much time to find, like when they have a good research proposal that's possible, that more possible to be accepted. Yeah.
Okay. Any other goals you think they have aside from getting their business proposal accepted?
Yeah. What else? I'm not really sure. I haven't got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, going through this exercise, why is it important to have a target market, do you think?
Sorry?
What's the importance of being able to define or think about having a target market?
Yeah, I think it's very important, I guess, because by having the target market, we can use the tools that we can use based on their age. For instance, when they are, because mostly students want to apply for master or PhD, they are in the range like 26 until 40, and they are still familiar. They are familiar with social media like Facebook or Instagram. So we can use that for our marketing. Yeah, but I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a way to think about how to build a targeted marketing approach on social media. Yeah, that could be one way. Jared, any thoughts about having a target market, the importance?
Yeah, I think just being able to talk to them and find out if you're really solving their problems or not with your solution. I think you definitely want to talk to customers as much as possible and make sure they're willing to pay that's a big enough problem to pay the price. Because yeah, I think it's a big mistake not to find to build. You can waste time building something and then find out no one wants to buy it, or the price bites off, and it's easier just to talk to customers as soon as possible and make sure it's a fit. And if it is, then yeah, just focused marketing efforts, touch points, product development all around that niche. Yeah, it makes it easier to focus.
Is there like anything that you learned when you were trying to validate in Japan, maybe that you can, share with Sam in terms of like him, just building his business now?
Sure. What I did to start Dream Drive is I made a fake website first.
A fake website.
So, yeah. So I made like Dream Drive. I went on Fiverr, made a fake image of the camper. I got like someone else's camper van, got a picture of Mount Fuji in the background, and I had an assumption of what would be a good hit, and I ran some ad budget to it too. Like originally we were a rental business, not right. doing the sales. And we got inquiries and stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool, people are willing to pay for this. And then I started a business. Right. So yeah, so I think I knew people were interested in it. Yeah, because there's lots of assumptions I had to have. Would people be willing to drive in Japan when they don't speak the language? Are they interested in campervan trips? Are they confident enough to just go somewhere without having all the information? So yeah, I felt the best way to solve that problem is just figuring out if people are willing to pay for it, and making it look like it's real. If you ask your friends, they tell you, yeah, we'll pay for it. But friends aren't always going to actually pay with their own money. So I wanted to test it on real potential customers, basically.
Yeah, so maybe friends will tell you what you want to hear, as opposed to is it a real validation or not? Yeah, that's a good point to raise. Sam, any thoughts about what Jared said?
Yeah, I'm still thinking. Maybe later on.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But I like the idea, creating a fake website. It's just kind of like a test, essentially, like as a prototype, like as a way to get your idea out there and see what people are saying. So I think I like that approach. Some other things you can think about to help you when you build the customer profile is psychographics. So that's really taking it down to their behaviors, their personality traits, their lifestyle choices. And we'll get into the reason why that's important in a moment. But essentially, when you build a customer profile, going back to this, you can go do something like this, think exactly about what their demographics, kind of age group, profession, where are they living, what's the kind of salary that they're earning. So maybe for you, Sam, like it's students, so they're don't have much of a income, or they're relying on their family, like you said. For Jared, as you said, 40 to 60-year-olds potentially have a lot more discretionary income to spend, and so it's a very different segment. Pain points and goals, I think these all help you to figure out where can I find these kind of customers. So when you build this profile, it helps you understand a lot better, where can I find these people when I want to actually get them to help me validate my idea. Any thoughts or any comments on the customer profile? Or questions, Sam?
Okay. So actually, I'm wondering, like, when we want to market our product, for instance, or our service, what should we do to know, like, how much our customer that willing to pay? Yeah, because we don't know.
Yep.
how much they are willing to pay our service. So and by that later on when I launch my product, I know that this is the rate that I would have. Yeah. What do you think?
Jared, do you want to chime in there? Did you figure out a way to kind of determine how much the price point for the vans?
Yeah. I mean, we're in tourism, so it's a bit more like surge pricing. Like weekends, we charge more. Like we found in our industry, like weekends are really busy and midweek wasn't, so we basically adapted the pricing around that. But it's a B2C product, is it? You're selling to consumers, right?
Yeah.
To students mainly, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that's more sensitive than I think like what we are selling now. Now we moved away from rentals and are selling the products. It's a product people expect to be expensive, as an RV or a house or something. It's like, but yeah, I think students is definitely something to be very. People maybe they don't have much money, looking for free options. So, yeah, it's hard to say. You can split test it though, right? You could try a few different like price points. Do like do a free trial and a yearly, 12-month, and have a month. Is it a SaaS, like a monthly?
Yeah, I think monthly. That could be monthly or annually.
I think when people think monthly purchases, my assumption would be around $10. Right. So, and then if it's more than that, I think it's gonna have to be really good. But I don't know what that's a tricky one though. I have so many subscriptions, but they're mostly around, if they're around $10, I kind of forget I've got it. If it's more than that, then I'm gonna be a bit more sensitive about if I keep it live or not. I mean, I've got some yearly purchases where I'm paying like $80 or something instead of monthly. I mean, half the time I don't use these services at all, but they've got me in, and I might forget to cancel it and end up paying again. So I think it's a bit of that. But yeah.
Yeah,
no good advice, but
that's all right. Like 10 to 20, like is a kind of typical like subscription to a Netflix or to a Disney Plus, or like I pay for Midjourney or I pay for ChatGPT Plus. So around that kind of $20 mark. There's even Zoom's 25 a month that I'm paying. For my services, like tends to be, because I do programs. I guess consultation, sometimes you get the hourly rate, sometimes you get, programs. Like it could be 3 months, could be, an hourly, like 8 sessions, for example. So I know like in my industry, people tend to charge, let's say on average, 250 to 500 an hour. Right. But what they probably will do is they will build a program and say, okay, for 90 days, it's 8 sessions, that's amount of money. So yeah, when you think about different professions, and especially in my kind of point of work, price is very sensitive because I deal with a lot of people that potentially are bootstrapping as well, so they don't have much discretionary income. Whereas and Sam, I guess yours is even more sensitive because students, don't have that much money at all. Whereas Jared, you're working towards like kind of a different part of the spectrum. People have probably more discretionary money. They're at a point in their lives where they've kind of, built their career and they have more money to spend. So,
yeah. We finance it, but yeah.
Yeah. So Sam, I don't know if that helps any, but that just gives you a bit of a, different view or perspective.
Yeah. This help. That's like what I'm thinking right now. Okay, how much, especially because not all my target customer is from one country, like maybe mostly from Southeast Asian country, because based on my website that we track our user, most of them are from Southeast Asia countries. Right. Yeah.
So I'd say more price sensitive than potentially. What do you think, Jaron? Yeah.
I was thinking like, I mean, I think companies who deal with students maybe do advertising more and actually try and charge the students money. They might try and, if they've got the network, then add the advertisements on top and make money from the companies trying to access students.
Mm.
Might be an easier way to do it.
So
But I
access
don't
to the
know. I don't
data.
know if, yeah, I don't know if you're trying to raise money there. I'm not sure if it's I mean, my business is very different. I don't know if it's a good time to raise money with an advertising platform like to access the students. So yeah, it's hard to say.
But anyway, hopefully that gives you some different perspectives. So yeah. Sorry, were you gonna say something, Jared?
No, that's pretty much
Okay.
it.
Okay. Cool. Let's move on. This is another way to think about when you're thinking about your niche. Potentially this is a good way if you have more than one niche to think about. There's 3 questions you can ask yourself, and then a final question to think about: does this actually resonate with the solution that I'm offering? So if you have a few different target audiences, all right, 3 questions you can ask yourself to try to pick one. Okay. So number 1, do I like them? Okay. If you're going to be working with them, if you're going to be talking to them every day, right? If you don't like them, then potentially that can make the conversation quite difficult, thinking about the different demographics or people that you're talking about. Number 2, can I help them? Is the service going to solve their problem? And number 3, do they have the money to be able to afford it? So I guess, Sam, in your case, it's quite price sensitive. So maybe that's a little bit difficult. But when thinking about a general SaaS product, especially like, do I like them? Can I help them? And are they able to pay? I really think there are 3 questions to help you think about really niching down into a very specific category, especially if you've got a few different options that you're kind of torn between or confused about. And then the final question to ask yourself, does this actually resonate? Which target actually resonates the most? So even if you have 2 potentially that are, say, yes, 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 then you can ask that final question at the end: does this actually resonate with what I'm trying to do? Is this going to create the impact that I want to make? So there's some things just to help you think about, to help you niche down. Is that helpful in any way? Yep. Tell me how can that help you?
Oh, I feel like if I understand it correctly, it's helping you differentiate how you approach different target audiences. Because yeah, it might be different answers to each sections. So maybe I guess refining it is good. Like you could choose. I mean, maybe you have a couple. It's obviously good to have one. I imagine is best, but like as your business develops, you might find. I mean, you're going to sell your product to whoever buys it. You're not going to not sell it to somebody just because they're not fitting your niche.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's a great exercise. I think just to figure out that, or hone in on where to spend your money, or ask yourself if it's a lot of hassle to deal with a certain audience, is it worth it? If it's causing a lot of stress, like you might be better off. Once you've done this exercise, you might be like, I don't want this type of customer. If you don't like the product,
yeah,
let's focus on the ones who like it and I enjoy talking to. So yeah.
Sir?
All right. So I'm thinking about the target audience. So when I have just a student as a target audience, it's difficult to have money. So I think I should also consider about their parents, like how do I approach their parents, or maybe their institution where the student study. So it's also like I can help their student, I can help their children for to use my service. Yeah. So I guess that I had have to think about the target audience more, not only for the student but also others to get the money. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like sometimes even when we niche, we don't niche down specifically enough. Like we could say, if you're working in the startup space, you could say like, for example, founders who want to build a tech solution, but that's still very wide, right? Like even when you talk about SaaS products, again, that can still be very wide. So sometimes people niche down into very particular sectors. So like I just want to focus on SaaS in edutech, for example, or LMS, like learning management systems. So when you think about niching, sometimes you got to drill down, like, very, very specifically, because that can also help you think about, okay, how do I, when I'm doing marketing, how can I target and find and get that person to actually resonate or look at what I'm working. So we've got a few other members just joining us now.
Yeah, I need to go to the restroom first. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Don't ask for permission. My friend Curtis has just joined. Curtis, can you hear me? Anyway, I'm sure he'll join when he's ready. So
yes,
next,
loud and clear.
Okay. Where are you at the moment? He's a FIFO worker, so yeah.
I'm in green bushes, but poor conductivity with the bit of a black spot.
Okay, so a bit patchy. All right. Anyway, we'll continue. So the next question, Jared, where do you think your potential target market is hanging out? I guess you've kind of done some work on this already as you expand into Australia, but what do you think?
Muted. Yeah, not too much in Australia. We're doing more like direct sales, like just contacting dealers, and that's working well enough. We're getting enough meetings from that. But yeah, I mean, in Tokyo, it's been Google has been really good for people just typing in campervan purchase or something, buy a campervan or campervan brands, like keywords. And then events where there's events which are quite expensive. But people go there sometimes to make a decision. They want to see as many brands as possible and compare them and choose the best one. Right. So yeah, I feel that's like a good way, easy way for us to target. But it'd be nice I'm always looking for those more like non-beaten path approaches where we can have a bit of a our own little market place, maybe without all the other competition being there or paying Google, like whoever pays Google the most kind of strategies. So I think I'm looking at motorsports. I'm looking at like where do people use camper vans? So, and what can I do at these events? So maybe do like outdoor sports events or motorsports where there's a big gathering of camper vans and see if there's ways to promote to do tie-ups there as well. So yeah, we're starting to explore that.
I feel like COVID kind of forced or got people doing more outside stuff because they were trapped inside for so long.
Yeah, for sure.
Potentially that's helped your market. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I definitely think more. Well, there's already a bit of a trend with more people like van life before COVID, but it definitely made it move forward. I think it accelerated interest in people traveling more locally.
Yep.
And I think now it's been people's a bit a bit hard to travel overseas, a bit expensive. So people are still looking at more local travel.
Right.
A little bit, maybe not as much, but yeah, still, I think it's a pretty, it's probably done more like good than harm. Apart from for rental companies who got destroyed. So yeah.
Yeah, right. So local meaning like Kanto area, I guess.
Oh, I'm
right?
thinking
like,
local. I mean, local is in local Australia, local like people.
Local Australia, right.
Yeah, I'm talking more about Australia, and I think what
Yep,
is
yep.
like.
Sorry, yep.
Yeah, even though there's a lot of Aussies in Tokyo right now. So yeah,
including yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Curtis, I don't know if you want to comment at all. If you want to do a quick intro for Jared's benefit.
So agricultural land. My thing is water for farming, making saline water economically viable for farmland production. The goal is for the investor, we purchase land at bottom dollar, but we know what the groundwater resource is, and we're able to put in low-cost water treatment to make that water economically viable for farmland irrigation, therefore improving the equity value of the land. That's the initial payback for the investor by diversifying the farm produce from wheat and sheep to high-valued end crop, where you can reduce the land footprint size and get a natural biodiversity back into the ground, where you can get a better return on market equity of the land.
And who would your target market be initially, do you think?
Well, really, I'm looking for the Japanese investor, where we're buying land in Australia, and it's the equity value of the land that is improved as such. Now, agricultural land in Australia is on the rise. Top end of the market, you're getting a return of 25% per annum on the market valuation of it. But if you're irrigating that land as well, if you can irrigate the land, you're increasing the market value of it as well. But even at the bottom end of the market, you're getting minimum 4, 5, 6% per annum increase on market equity. But my goal is taking that land and get the return of what the top end of the market is. But yeah, looking for the Japanese investor that wants to buy an investment in land in Australia.
Yep. Okay. So Sam, welcome back. We're just talking about where do you think your potential target market will be hanging out? So where can you find them? Any ideas about the students that you're trying to target? Where do you think they are?
Yeah. I think more likely we use online, or I think we also like doing webinar, or then we invite students or the professor to join, and they can promote our service to them. Yeah, by using online, because my target market is for an international student, of course, and I am in Australia.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, more online, more webinars, giving more flexible kind of options for people who are perhaps more actively online on social media, that kind of thing. Yep. Cool. Okay, when you think about marketing and doing research, Jen Rubio, who's a founder of a, let's say, functional luggage company, she just said, you don't have to be a researcher to do research. Just go and talk to customers. Listen to what they have to say. They'll tell you everything you need to know. And I think Jared kind of talked about that already. He's done that. He's been through that journey. Sam, looks like you're about to start doing that. Curtis, I know, has done a fair bit of that. I think Farah has as well with her solution. So, you don't have to be anyone special to talk to customers. You just have to go and find them and talk to them. So there's nothing holding you back, I think, is the point. Any thoughts on that quote?
Yes, with my experience talking to the investor, they will have their answers that I'm looking for.
You want to expand on that a little bit?
Right. Well, yeah, they want that a quick return on investment. 12 months is what they're looking for as such, not 3 to 5 years as such. And land, is their safest bet as such. There's always going to be some sort of growth on the demand for land. It's never going to disappear as such.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be that need. And I'm looking to diversify from residential to agricultural land, where there has been strong growth with that within Australia, in particular with Western Australia. There is that strong growth there for agricultural land.
Okay. How about Sam? Any thoughts about the quote? Does that help you think a little bit more about how you can talk to customers? Just do it.
Yeah, I think I did this like talking to the potential customer and then asking, actually not asking, but that tell me that this is what they need. They don't really want to depend on the rely on the artificial intelligence, but they want human. So yeah, so that's what we are going to provide as well. Yeah,
some kind of human service.
Yeah.
Through the okay. Jared, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's very true, but I also feel I think like 80% true. It's like I said before, like if you ask your friend would you buy it is different to asking if you can actually figure out very well customer. And to me you know very customer once they buy it, so it's always I really like talking to people who actually bought our product and paid for it without being a trial or anything like that. I love asking them loads of questions. But if people tell me what I have to do for them to buy it, I'm always a grain of salt on everything they say because they haven't actually purchased it before. So
yeah. So I guess I mean that's the real validation, isn't it? Once the money's in your account.
I do think the best way to go in is try and sell them it. Here's what our service is, here's what we got, it's this much, would you like to buy it? And if they say no, you go, why? And if they say yes, then you tell them it's not real, but what do you think of a price? Could I charge more? I think that's just a really good way to actually, to see if you've got legs or not.
Yep. Awesome. And I guess just some suggestions about how you can find people. Obviously social media for me is a big one. Like if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn and you're trying to find new prospects, you can add 50 people a day on Facebook. You can add 100 people a week on LinkedIn. If you're trying to look for people on those platforms, of course, if you're on social media like Instagram, TikTok, there's various other ways to find customers. You can attend industry events. You could do online surveys. If you're rich, you could hire a research firm. But also, I think you have access to things like online publications, reports. You can look at what your competitors are doing. So there's all kinds of things you can do to really find your potential customers. But just some suggestions to think about. So if we think about, you've thought a little bit about who your target market is. If you bring that back to your problem statement, okay, what do you think your new problem statement looks like? So I've got some examples here from Netflix. They talk about movie and TV lovers, prefer home entertainment, Airbnb, frequent travelers looking for budget-friendly and convenient stays. So Sam, if you think about your new problem statement, how can you like express that while including this target market that you've been talking about?
I think the problem statement are still the same, like support an international student to design their research proposal. Sorry, the solution, but the many of international students are rejected or fail to convince the supervisor in English-speaking country. So I want to help and support them. So the target market is the student or the student who are willing to continue their study abroad, or the professor or lecturer in non-English speaking country who are willing to publish their research proposal. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, awesome. Jared, any refinement to the problem statement that you originally had?
Yeah, I think only just to put in, Netflix and Airbnb definitely keep it pretty broad, and I thought it'd be an interesting idea to put the target audience into it a little bit more. Movie going goes pretty broad, but I think I could go, like, I could think about niching down retirees, for example, wanting the convenience to have freedom to go where they want to go.
Yep.
Get more straight to the point, I think could be pretty interesting. And like problem, Everest crowded, people want to travel, but now they want the freedom of travel and doing road trips, but now they have to book ahead, and it's really convenient. They can't go to places they want to go. So a simplified solution would be the ability to travel and just jump in a car and go to places you want to go, and find your own accommodation along the way. And then, target market, basically retirees or people looking to wind down their careers and spend more time and enjoy their lifestyle, and spend some of the hard-earned cash.
Yep. Awesome. So what's the value, do you think, in being able to do that? So now that you've got your kind of problem statement, you already had it, but is there any added value in being able to go through this exercise?
I definitely think it's good for me to be thinking about Australia, because I've always been so Japan focused.
Yep.
I joined because I wanted to get feedback from you as someone who's been in Japan, moved to Australia. Like, what's different? Doing if you did the exercise in Japan or you did it in Australia, like, was there any adaptations you have to make, or sales cycles or sales strategy? I'm hoping that it's easier in Australia than Japan, but
I don't. I think you'll find challenges. Like the one biggest thing that I found coming from Japan to Australia, like I'd spent 8 years in Japan building a network, and it was a lot easier to leverage that 8 years later. Coming into Australia blind, especially Perth, which is kind of very small, very new, and almost like a country, like a very big country town, let's say. It's really hard work to network around, and I really had to put myself out there, even just to get anyone kind of interested. So like, you're doing good in the fact that you actually have networks that you can go through to sell your products, right? Whereas my service is a little bit different, because I'm very basically B2C, even though these C's become B's eventually. You still got to network, you still got to build a name for yourself, you still got to build some credibility up front. And being from Sydney as well, like, I know, just very different mentality coming here. So I'm trying to branch out of Perth, because I feel like there's opportunities everywhere anyway. While I'm still supporting the community here, I really want to build the platform kind of wider as well, if possible. But yeah, your product's probably okay, but anyone coming into Perth especially, but Australia more broadly, coming back, you really have to fight hard initially, I think, just to build your networks again, especially if you've been out of the country for a while. So,
And on the when you're actually talking to a customer, do you find it easier to close? Is the sales cycle longer or shorter, or how's that?
I feel like in Perth it's a little bit longer. I feel like on the East
Okay.
Coast it's a little bit shorter, let's say.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's very, very stereotyped, very generalized. But
Right.
I feel that, or that's how I feel.
Got
So
it.
yeah. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Sam?
Yeah,
Sorry, Curtis, yeah, go ahead.
WA, wait a while.
Yeah, that's right.
There it is. Got it. Is that where you are, Curtis? Curtis is also, you're also in Perth?
Yeah, he's a client of mine, but also, yeah, he's FIFOing and coming to Perth and going up to
Okay.
the mines and back and forth, back and forth.
Got it.
Yeah. Sam, this exercise helped you in any way, you think?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's
You
the
can just continue. Like, I'm trying to catch. Yeah, just continue. Then I will.
okay?
Yeah.
What's the benefit of doing some of these activities or exercises? How has it helped you so far?
Yeah, I can get some ideas how to do the marketing, especially, but because that's what I want,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a newbie in a business, so I really need to learn like how to solve the problems, and by that problem how to get like how people uh, can get the solution, and then how they are willing to pay. Yeah, so I think that's the most significant that I really want to know, and then some of the ideas I already get. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Curtis, in your limited time, have you got any value out of this?
Oh, look, yeah, it's the education, mate. I'm here to sharpen the axe, mate.
Okay.
Improving your skill set, your mindset, and networking. So, yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, guys. Curtis Hunter, artist. Check it out. Join, connect.
Yeah, Jared's going to come down to, he's in Japan now, but he'll be down in Australia soon, and he'll come down to Perth to sell out his camper vans. And who knows, he might be interested.
Bring all the
Oh,
investors
yeah.
over with me here.
All right. Let's move on. So just to recap, we went through the basics of coaching. We talked a little bit about the lean approach, importance of defining a niche, profiling a customer, looking at where you can find your audience, thinking a little bit about how you can interact with them, and then kind of refining your problem statement. That's really it. So programs that I'm running, I do one-on-one coaching, as you probably already know. But the latest program I'm working on is a 6-week boot camp for pitching, starting early next month. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out. Also doing next coffee networking event on the 30th from 10:30. Curtis, if you're in Perth, then come join. It's in Leaderville at Cranked. Jared, once you're in Perth, you can join some of these too. So don't worry, we'll do
Sounds
more.
good.
Yep. We've gone through that already. So yeah, thanks. If you have got any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can wrap up there.